Alright mates, how's it going? In today's video, chapter 23 of Shadows Rising by Madeline Rue. You ready for things to get weird? Let's get weird. Let's go! Meanwhile, in Nazmir, Zekhan, a lieutenant called Juho, and a whole bunch of soldiers were crouching all stealthy-like, observing the rebels that had unfortunately already reached Bwonsamdi's next shrine. Too many. With those torches they can control the tar pits. We can't get near them. We have to try. The Queen needs us, Juho. Zandalar needs us. This is just for Bwonsamdi. No, Juho. It's more than that. These rebels are stealing trolls from their beds, sacrificing them for dark magics. Do you not want to stop that? Zekhan's words seemed to somewhat embolden Juho. To the west then. Fewer rebels that way. And so, Zekhan, Juho and the soldiers began their approach. But as they drew nearer to their destination, Zekhan noticed a large group of rebels clustered on the other side of the Tar Lakes, with dark rangers among them, and Nathanos Blightcaller himself. Before Zappy Boy could even register what he was seeing, Nathanos, the Dark Rangers and the rebels knocked lit fire arrows, ready to set the Tar and Bwonsamdi's shrine aflame. And if that wasn't bad enough, something then squirmed on top of the shrine. Something alive. Ancestors have mercy. Children! Zandalari, now! The order was given, and the soldiers rushed forward, with spears raised. The soldiers did manage to cut through some rebels with relative ease, but the Dark Rangers proved much more formidable, just as Thrall had warned. It didn't take long at all before it looked very much like Talanji's troops were going to have to cheese it. But Zekhan wasn't going to just leave those poor defenceless kids to die. A small gust of wind might push them to safety, or accidentally push them into the tar, but whatevs. So, the young shaman closed his eyes and started to channel his energy into a vortex. However, an arrow then landed right next to his feet, which kind of disrupted the spell. It was Nathanos Blightcaller that had fired it, and although he was pretty far away, and Zekhan couldn't quite see his facial expression, he could absolutely guarantee that it was a smug grin. It was always a smug grin, the prick. More Dark Rangers then suddenly emerged from the shadows next to Zekhan, which spooked him a little bit, so much so that he ended up falling into the tar. The Dark Rangers then holstered their daggers and drew bows instead, forcing Zekhan to push himself further into the tar and away from them. Didn't really have a choice. But, as you can imagine, movement became harder and slower with every push, and the tar itself was desperately trying to drag Zekhan down. Not to mention the fact that tar is also extremely flammable. Turn back! Leave the children! They're lost! Bunch of jerks. The Dark Rangers continued to fire, and Nathanos Blightcaller turned and walked off at the languid pace of a completely unbothered man. But Zekhan wasn't going to give up. He wasn't going to leave a bunch of stranded, frightened children to be shot down by heartless assholes, or burned alive. So he continued to push his way through the tar towards the shrine and the kids, despite the fact that it actually quite hurt to move. As soon as he was close enough, Zekhan began to summon his power again, hoping the gust would be strong enough to hoist the children over to him, and it was. The children screamed like maniacs, but they were now safely atop his shoulders. Stop squirming! I'll get you to safety. But it wasn't over yet. The rebels were finally putting their torches to use, and fire was now raging towards Zekhan and the children. The young shaman attempted to summon his wind spell for a third time, but nothing. Ancestors! What do I do? Much to Zekhan's surprise, a voice actually responded to his semi-desperate call, but it definitely wasn't one of his ancestors.
You know what to do.
Zaofang? The bloody hell? But Zekhan then realised he did indeed know what to do, now that he'd received validation from a dead person. So he went ahead and concentrated really hard, put all of his remaining might into another attempt at some magic wind, and sent the children flying off to safety. Talanji's soldiers rushed in to grab the little ones, and two of them stayed behind, grabbing a large dinosaur bone conveniently lying around on the ground, and thrusting it out across the tar towards Zekhan. 'Twas a lifeline, but moving in the tar was almost impossible at this point. Hurt like hell, and just as Zekhan reached the tip of the bone, he saw Talanji's soldiers' mouths drop in horror, felt the vicious kiss of the flames, and smelled his own hair burning. The pain was excruciating. He spasmed and saw his own skin blister as the trolls desperately tried to pull him to safety. And then the world fell away, and Zekhan found himself plunging down. He'd expected death to be different, slower perhaps, more peaceful, but it had come on as quickly as one of his conjured whirlwinds. As he looked around, he saw other pale souls, and chains snaking up from the pit below, and those same chains then clamped over his shoulders and wrists, and dragged him down further. The void below him growled, shaking and rumbling, like a ravenous belly. Whatever was down there, Zekhan definitely did not want to find out. Felt like something was watching him. An evil, too terrible to name. This was nothing like the sun-drenched reunion he'd witnessed through Zaofang's eyes. This was almost the exact opposite of that.
Some of the healers. He must attend to his birds and bonds.
The voice rippled on the fringes of Zekhan's consciousness, and then more voices joined, Familiar voices.
How did this happen? The Dark Rangers, my queen. They were waiting for us. Damn it, where are those healers? You can do nothing for him, child. There's something I can do.
Zekhan then felt something reach around his ankle and pull, hard, dragging him down further towards the nameless evil. But another force then started yanking him upwards. Not yet, my boy. Neither forces wanted to let go, and for a moment, Zekhan felt like he was going to get ripped in half. However, he then started rocketing upward at dizzying speed. Before he could say "Bob's my uncle," he was inhaling breath on Azeroth once more. Ow! He's alive! You did it! Zekhan could see Bwonsamdi hovering behind Talanji, and although it seemed like the Lower of Graves had just saved him from eternal torment, he still wasn't very happy with the guy. That was terrible! You lied, Bwonsamdi! What did you see? Tell me. I saw a pit. A place I would never escape. Torment. Suffering. What else? Spirits. Chains. Darkness. Everything felt so cruel. A place where only evil belongs. It is the place for the unredeemable. But what did I do to deserve that abyss? The Lower then glanced down and heaved a weary sigh. You saw them all, boy. A hopeless place that holds the darkest spirits. But now it be consuming every soul, no matter their deeds in life. Good or evil, thief or prince, they all go to the maw. Nothing is as it should be. And I be keeping as many trolls away from there as I can. And at no small cost either. It's taken all I have just to keep them safe. Which is why you must stop these rebels in Blightcall. If they have their way, nothing will stop all souls from entering the maw. For good. And then there was silence. Neither Zekhan or the Queen knew how to process that bombshell. How long? How long has this been happening? I saved your father from this fate, if that's what you're asking. The spirit realm. Thrall knew. The shaman told him it was broken. Yeah, he said as much in the throne room. You're the Lower of Graves, Bwonsamdi. You must know what's going wrong. Sylvanas and the Forsaken are here for you. Tell me why. They be working with forces I cannot see. But whoever be giving the orders wants me gone. And wants all obstacles gone. I'll tell you more, Talanji, but not here. Not like this. The boy needs rest. He's earned that much. And we're leaving it there! Shadowlands has been out for like 2 months, so that reveal is a little less impactful now than it was when the book came out last year. But whatevs. Still interesting. Sylvanas was literally trying to ensure that all souls were condemned to the maw, so I genuinely have no idea how Blizz could even possibly redeem her at this point. And I'm a little bit scared that they're still going to try. As usual, link in the description if you're interested in buying this book. Also, there's links to my Discord server and my Patreon page too. If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, all of that bollocks. And all that's left to say is, thanks for watching, and see ya!